Contender Pretender returns for Division B. And last but not least, we have some more of that LG Rise and OpTic Gaming matchups. Benson was so upset he lost last week that he's letting his British counterpart Momo trade some shots with Maven. Welcome, Momo. Maven, welcome back. Let's get right to it. For First Blood, we're going back to the Division A to discuss the All-Stars that were selected by you, the fans. You guys chose Aches of Evil Geniuses, Chino of Team Envious, Kenny of Team Caliber, and last but not least, Scraps of Red Reserve to participate in the All-Star game at Citadel Anaheim. Maven, you won last week, so you get to go first. Do you think any players were snubbed?
I am excited to beat the piss out of another British ginger. This should be a whole lot of fun, maybe even easier than Ben. But yeah, there was one that really stood out to me, and it's Hook of Envy. I think he was snubbed a bit. If you take a look at the stats for this team, he's #1 in overall KD with a 1.2. He has the highest KD on the team in Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and CTF.
So you say he's pretty good?
Yes, he has the most kills in all those modes for his teams as well. He has the highest interactions per map in Hardpoint by 6. He has the highest First Blood percentage. He's doing it all, man. He's back to superstar form. Yes, his teammates around him are a big part of the reason why he can do that, but I feel he got snubbed. Hook is back to beast form, and I don't think we've even seen the ceiling yet.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, but I feel like you went with the easy one. Momo, what do you got?
I mean, Maven read a stat sheet. You know, a fair comment, I will say. Hugh could have been up there. For me, it was Evil Genius. I think Ace got picked maybe for his popularity, but I would have liked to see someone like Assault in there. I think he could have brought a lot of slaying power to the squad, but yeah, Assault. Maybe even you could have put Silly in there too.
Okay, so Momo, he goes after Ace, doesn't believe it. I mean, the big thing for Ace is, right, he had such a, I think, poor couple of the previous years where people are like, oh, he's playing well again. Let's pick Ace. On the other side, Envy, yeah, I know Chino, such a great guy, great player, but it was Hook who stepped up big time for him. I'm going to give you both 1 point. I agree with you. So I'm happy. Yes, I know it's a tie. Maven, stop freaking out. It's just the First Blood.
Stats, Joe.
Yeah, I don't care. Anyways, let's switch gears to the division currently playing. Momo, who do you think should make it for Division B?
Division B, I'm going to go with Gunless from Rise Nation. I'd look at OpTic, and then straight away I'm picking up Methods for his Search and Destroy KD. Heading over to Luminosity, I think I'd go with Formal, just to see what he can bring to the table. And then for my 4th pick, I'm going E United. Prestini for me has been lights out so far. That's my 4.
All right. Clint, what do you have?
All right, I'm going to change it from the get-go. Now, am I shocked that I'm not going to say Gunless? Yes, but the guy that shined the most on Rise Nation, if we're talking right now this first week, it's been Looney. Even, like, he's leading in their hardpoint KD, which it's kind of unreal. You always are looking at Slasher or Gunless for this team, but he's been making plays time and time again, whether it's to get spawns, whether it's the smart play. Looney's been an absolute beast. Now, do I know if that will carry through their entire month of competition? No, I do not. But so far in week 1, Looney's been incredible. Now go to OpTic Gaming. Yes, Methods does have a 3.57 Search and Destroy KD, which is nuts, but they haven't really played that tough of competition thus far. They've been smoking people in Search and Destroy. The guy that's been the biggest difference maker for me, it's Octane. When you look at how LG is performing and now OpTic is performing, he has come in and been such a difference maker. That map 1 versus OpTic Gaming was one of the best hardpoint performances I've ever seen. 29 in 10, 2.5 minutes in the hardpoint. He played it perfectly, and he's been awesome in the other modes as well. Now move on to, let's go to E United. I think the easy pick here for me is going to be Arcides. He's the best player on that team. He's one of the best players in the world. He continues to perform consistently. He's not as up and down as some of the other players on that squad, but I get where you're coming from with Pristini as well. He's been excellent too, for sure. And then finally, what team do I want to talk about for or what player do I want to talk about for Luminosity? I guess I have to go with John just from that first day. He was a beast. He drops 15 in a Game 5 against United to really win that reverse sweep. That's what really stood out. Slacked has had some great moments, but I think John, just for the fact he carried them to a win this early on, I'm going to go with John.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I like your picks, Maven. I like Looney on Rise Nation. I think he stepped it up big time. The guy on Rise that really has to beat up is TJ. He's not performing up to his best ability.
Especially in S&D.
Yeah, definitely so.
He's had these moments, which has been weird.
I think Looney's been so good in hardpoint. I like that pick. OpTic, neither of you guys go with the popular vote. Chump, yeah, he's going to make it. He has the most fans out of them. I don't care about the performance. He's going to make it. I don't know what either of you are talking about. So that was silly, but I respect your opinions right there. But I'm going to give a point over to Maven. I have to agree with your choices.
It's starting early, Phil. Pack up!
Yeah, so nice jobs on that one, boys. Let's move on to a little quick scope. Contender Pretender has returned for Division B, and you guys know the drill. I want to know if this team is a contender or a pretender to make Stage 2 playoffs. The first team is OpTic Gaming. Maven, is OG a contender or pretender?
We knew this answer heading into the division. They are a contender. They're still a contender. That 3-0 of LG, if you weren't convinced before that, you absolutely are now.
That was a stomping.
It was a hot 3-0, a very quick sweep. Joe and I casted it, wanted more of a series. We did not get that. I just don't think there's a lot that needs to be said here. This is the easier part of their schedule. Yes, they have tougher matches to come against E United, against Rise, but there's no way to call them pretenders right now.
All right, Momo, what do you got?
I think most definitely OpTic Gaming. They are a contender. I think not only top 4, I think a top 2 guaranteed for these guys. I think, yes, they have played a few of their easier games, but the 3 over LG says it all. Contender for sure, top 2 in my eyes.
All right, I'm not going to give out any points. That was a little bit of an easy one, but the next team up, Luminosity Gaming, Momo, contender or pretender?
100% contender. They might have got 3
100%.
100%. They're in my top 4. I think these guys will get better and better as the division goes on. Yes, they took a beating from OpTic Gaming, but the other competition in their division isn't good enough. I think these guys are 100% in my top 4. Definite contender for me.
They are a contender. Would I say 100%? No. Just simply because we saw the vulnerabilities. I think you can say that about really any team so far. There's been some openings, some struggles, some not dominant performances in certain situations, but you definitely saw it with LG versus OpTic there. And I know that was a grudge match in many ways, and OpTic came out and smoked them, but it really depends on your teams like Unilad and Complexity. If they can pick it up in the second week or the final 2 weeks, is there a chance that Luminosity could be somehow fighting for a 4 spot? Sure. I just don't think that's the case. I think they'll secure their top 4 spot.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Again, it just seems like this roster is going to have a lot to work on, as we can already see. Luckily for them, they had that reverse sweep over E United. If they don't win that one, I think it gets a little bit scary. But due to that win, I agree with you. They're a contender, so I'm both going to give you 1 point for that answer. All right, up next, Unilad, Maven. Are they contenders or pretenders?
They convinced me this week that they are definitely contenders. You know, they very easily could have gone 1-3. They end up going 2-2 with a big win. Well, they have big wins over the teams they need to beat. Like, they lose to your Rise and OpTic, which is very tough on day 1, but they come out and get a big win over a team like Complexity. I think they're absolutely contenders. I'm understanding where some of the EU players were coming from when they were talking about them getting into the top 4. There is potential there. I absolutely still have them as contenders, especially if the play of Zed can keep up. Like, he's been fantastic. We've seen great performances from Wuskin and Shawnee. This team is sitting still around that 50-50 in map count. Remember, this Unilad team last stage ended 7-7. So I think they are going to end somewhere in that ballpark, but there is a chance that could sneak them into a 4 spot, and I even think 8-6 is possible. So yes, contender for me for sure.
All right, Momo, what do you think?
I'm actually going to disagree. I think these guys are a pretender. I might be from Europe, and so are these
What?
guys. However, I think that the teams that they would be competing against, Rise and OpTic, no chance. Luminosity and EE United, for me, are the ones that they may steal it away. We've seen great stuff from EE United. I think they trump Unilad. And I honestly just don't see Unilad keeping up this pace. I can't see Zed playing like that every single game. I'm going to disagree. I think they're a pretender. I'm going to put them in 5th, 6th, maybe at best.
The European going against his brothers. This surprised the heck out of me. I disagree with you, Phil. I think they are contenders. The way that LG and E United have looked, it's just surprising to me that you don't think that.
There's a chance.
Wuskin in the crew, there is always a chance.
We'll see.
They put themselves in a position. So I'm going to give a point to Maven because I agree with them. I think these guys, if Alex and Zed continue to play the way they can, they could take it to a team like E United and LG and potentially upset them. Next up is Complexity. Momo, what do you think? Contender or pretender?
I put these guys in the same category as Unilad, 5th, 6th. I feel like I've got a set 4 for this division. I wish it was different. I see the Rise, United, OpTic, and LG. I don't know what order it's going to finish, but I feel like Complexity, again, they're a pretender. Are they the worst in the division? Absolutely not. Can they compete with the guys at the top? Maybe, but I don't see them in that top 4 again. Complexity, for me, pretender.
All right, Maven.
I agree with him here, and a lot of it came down to just that match between Unilad and Complexity. I kind of told myself before that the one that wins that matchup, if those are going to be the 2 teams we think fighting to maybe get into the top 4, the win there is huge. They lose to Unilad, and that is absolutely massive. And for Complexity, for me, they almost strike me as like the same mindset I sort of talked about for, let's say, Mind Freak. They're the North American Mind Freak. They're going to play teams tough. They're going to have some extended series. I just think a lot of those close series they're going to lose. If that's going to continue to be the case, they don't have a chance to top 4.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by Complexity this week. I thought they were going to look a lot better. They obviously just got into the Pro League. They were so excited to be here. But to be honest with you, they did not look good. They made a ton of mistakes. You need Sensor to step up. Their only win is a reverse sweep over Mind Freak. They can't play like that if they want to make top 4.
Sensor's got like a 0.7.
Yeah, exactly. Again, these guys right now are pretenders, so you guys agreed on it. You're both going to get 1 point. All right, last week there were some harsh words from a bald man for Mind Freak. After 2 weeks of play, Maven, do you think Mind Freak are contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders, and they have done exactly what I said they would. They're going to play teams tough and lose these series. They've actually won a couple of game ones, had a 2-0 advantage in some series, then fallen apart.
Yeah.
They play people so tough, they just can't win these series. And I actually talked to the guys, and they told me that they were watching my comments from that trading shop before matches to get fired up, to get some fuel. But then the same result happens.
Yeah, not good enough.
nothing has changed for me. They can't beat the top teams. They're not going to be in the top 4. It's frustrating because I would love to see them do it. I want them to be competitive. I want them to get there. I want to talk about that great story. I just don't think when it's all said and done, we will.
All right, Momo, what do you think?
I don't know what's more painful, watching Mind Freak just fail time and time again in Game 5s, or actually hearing that Maven is actually right in what he's saying.
It's rare.
For me, again, I've got to agree, these guys are pretenders. I don't see them making any type of run for the playoffs, but for these guys, again, they're playing teams hard. They're going Game 4 and Game 5, and they just come up short every single time. I don't know what's going wrong for these guys, but they're certainly a pretender.
The one, I'll tell you who's not pretending, though, at least from individual play. Shox is magnificent.
Yeah.
He's been an absolute beast, but again, that's a story we've told time and time again. We talk about him. Oh my God, he could be on a North American team. Oh my God, he could be in a better squad. Oh, he's so good, this and that. This isn't the first time we've said that, but Shox, you've been a beast.
Yeah, no, they definitely have. Always sort of the individual talent. That's what we talk about with Mind Freak. I think Denz is right there behind him. We know Fida can step it up. Their hardpoint looks great. Very similar to Stage 1, but yes, Mind Freak, they are pretenders. I do not think they're going to get into that top 4. It's going to be a tough week for them next week. So once again, you guys agree, you're both going to get 1 point. Sticking with some guys from the down under, Momo, do you think Tainted Minds are contenders or pretenders?
These guys are pretenders. It's just a fact. I think these guys may just finish bottom of the group. However,
I think they will.
They've been introduced to the Pro League for the first time. I don't think even these guys believe that they're contenders for it. But for these guys, maybe it's just practice for CWL Anaheim, maybe champs as well. I don't really know what else to say. They're pretenders.
All right, Maven.
Yeah. Pretenders. It's impressive they got in the league for the
Seems
first time.
like you were thinking about that for a second there.
No, I'm excited to see them get in here for the first time. I was curious what they'd be able to do, but they're simply not good enough. We can move on to the next team.
All right, so you're both going pretenders. I agree with you. Again, it's great to see another APAC team in the league, but it's going to take some time, right? Mind Freak's been here how long? And, well, they're still not a contender just yet. So we'll see if Tainted Minds can get into a better form for champs in Anaheim. But for right now, they're pretenders. I agree with you guys. Just going to give you 1 point because, once again, you agree. A few more teams left, and Rise Nation is one of them. Maven, contenders or pretenders for Rise?
Obviously, they're contenders. They were the top team coming into Division B. Is the conversation now them or OpTic? Sure. That reverse sweep was a bit painful for them. E-United take that. You saw Clayster and Looney going at it.
Just
maybe some
bit.
question marks a little bit for some of the kind of stats you're seeing from their side. TJ Haley's been really struggling. Looney's been having to lead the way in a couple statistics that you don't usually expect him to. But overall, you can't question Rise. Like, they are 100% a lock for the top 4 for me. There's no way they're going to fall out of it. But is everything gravy for them? No, I don't think so.
No, definitely so. I have to agree with you. Momo, what do you have?
Yeah, 100%. These guys are contenders. I think coming into the division, they were the best team in the world. Yes, they've just been reverse swept. I actually still think they're the best team in the world. I think it was a bit of an unfortunate series for these guys. It's going to be really interesting to see when they come up against the rest of the competition next week. But for me, we're going to see these guys go to the playoffs.
All right, had to agree with you there. Obviously, just one loss. It was a reverse sweep. Like, I didn't think any of us were really expecting that to happen, especially from a team like E-United. You know they're going to bring it next week in that match against OpTic Gaming. It's what we're going to be waiting for. But I agree with you guys. They are contenders, not pretenders. I'm going to give you both 1 point. Last team in Division B to debate is E-United. Momo, can EU be considered contenders or pretenders?
I think E-United definitely a contender here. I don't think they're going to be the ones top in the division, but these are definitely in a fight for that playoff spot, that top 4. I think even just after the reverse sweep, beating Rise, that puts them in such a good position, beating another contender. So E-United, for me, 100% are a contender. Really excited to see this squad kind of go on and progress. I still think they've actually got a lot to improve on, but for me, E-United are definitely a contender.
Agree with you. Maven, anything different?
I guess they're a contender, but they are probably, let's say we were talking like percentage odds of them to be in the top 4. I think of any team that like fluctuated the most, it was them. It was all over the place for me. First, they start out. They go up 2 over LG. I'm like, oh, wow, E-United's here to play. Then they get reverse swept. And I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. It's stage 1 E-United all over again. And I'm worried they're going to fall apart. I'm worried they're going to struggle and have to make a late run. So they dip for me. Then we get this series against Rise. They're down to, I'm like, oh, what do you know? They're getting obliterated by the top teams. And then they reverse sweep Rise. So I all over the place, but the fact remains, I still think they're fighting for top 4. Are they a lock 100% for me? Absolutely not. But yes, they're definitely a contender. There's no way to say they're not. They're just who's been more up and down sort of just between like series to series.
Yeah, it seems like these guys should be so week to week, but I'm both going to give you 1 point because you agree again, and I agree with you. They are contenders. We'll have to wait and see if they make that top 4. The score is now in favor of the American man, Maven. That's going to do it for our quick scope, but it's time now for the grand finals. There were some great matches last week, but with all the drama coming in Division B, all the eyes were on the trio of Luminosity, OpTic, and Rise Nation. We haven't seen OpTic versus Rise yet, and it's going to be a hell of a matchup. But for now, I just want to know, what have we learned so far about those squads in Division B? Momo, what do you got for those 3?
First things first, all of them have weaknesses. OpTic Gaming, they were pushed to a Game 4. Should have been a Game 5 already in Week 1. Rise, they get reverse swept. And Luminosity, they kind of got shunned to the side from OpTic Gaming. But we've also seen very promising things for all these teams as well. So it's great to see the competition so high, but no one is perfect. And I'm excited for, the second week here in Division B. But if I'm going to say one thing, I think Rise is still the best team in the world.
All right, some strong words right there from Momo. Maven, what do you have?
I do want to reiterate his first point. Yes, I think one of the biggest things is we saw vulnerabilities for all of these teams. But if you go team by team, and what kind of stood out for me, we knew OpTic would be good. We weren't sure how good. After that Luminosity series, they are absolutely showed to me they have some of the best talent in the world. They can be the best team in the world. They could win the final 3 tournaments. It is possible. I think there is that much talent there. We'll just have to wait and see. But we've seen the potential, despite the fact that it was maybe a weaker week. That one matchup against LG, that was such a crisp 3-0. It made me feel really good about this OpTic team. For Luminosity, you still look like a great team, but I was disappointed in that performance versus OpTic.
Yeah, I'm a little worried.
Even if I thought OpTic was going to win that, which I do, the 3-0 in that fashion, I have concerns. I had concerns coming in, but that series alone almost doubled down on my previous concerns of whether Formal was the right fit for this team, whether he was nearly as good at this game. Where's the slaying going to come from if John is going, inconsistent at times? Can JCap step it up and go against a secondary AR like a Methods, against something like a Gunless? And I think the answer might be no. And that is what I'm really worried about against the top competition. For Rise, I think they're still one of the best teams in the world. I just think if they had beat E United there in like a 3-0 fashion, I would still share the opinion with Phil they're the best team in the world. But you did see a little bit of a vulnerability there. The fact that they were reverse swept is kind of shocking to me. I was really surprised to see that happen. I don't want to put too much stock in one series, but I was very surprised to see that happen. Granted, I did love the banter and the trash talk between Clayster and Looney, but it boils down to what we both kind of said at the beginning. All teams have vulnerabilities, but all this stuff I talked about, kind of the biggest takeaways I had from those 3 rosters.
All right, so, well, how about this? Let's switch it up a little bit. Let us grade each team's performance. It's their first week playing on land with this new team. How did each team do? Maven, we'll start with you.
I'm going to give OpTic an A, only not an A+, because just how shaky a couple of the maps were against teams that I think they should have throttled. Like, if you can come in and throttle LG, where is that against Unilad and Tainted Minds? That's the only thing that shocks me a little bit. Like, don't play down to your opponents. Come in and hammer them. But still, it's an A. For Rise Nation, I'm gonna go with a B+. You can't get reverse swept by United if you're the best team in the world. You're coming off the victory at Seattle. You should come in here and assert your dominance. You should not get reverse swept in that position. And, just take a look at some of the stats. TJ, Slasher, even Gunless, like, where are those dominating numbers that I'll look at? Like, you see that on OpTic.
They were still pretty good.
Yeah, when you look at OpTic, it's like a 1.25 across the board for, like, everybody. It's kind of insane to see what they're putting up. Granted, I know the competition not quite the same to this point. So I'll give them what I said, B.
B+.
B+.
What do you want to be? What do you want? What's your final answer?
We'll go B+.
Okay.
For Luminosity, B-.
You're just still going to give them a B.
I'm thinking the same, Joe.
I'm going to still give them a B- because I think they're still going to finish top 3 in this group. It really comes down to that OpTic series just left a sour taste in my mouth. Like, this is a team that was consistently top 3, never really getting blown out by anyone except an occasional map from here to there. I know it's one series, and I hate putting so much stock in one series, but my God, like, fight back a little bit. It's like OpTic was just beating a dead body. I'll still go B- though.
All right, so you got an A for OpTic, a B+ for Rise, and a B- for Luminosity. Momo, how do you grade them?
I'm going to be a little bit more harsh on the teams here. I think for an A for OpTic, I think, yes, it was great what they did in their final series. But against Tainted Minds, we expect the 3-0. Against Unilad, they were pushed, and I felt like it wasn't that convincing. I feel like it could have been a Game 5. For me, I'm giving them a B. I'm giving these guys a B. I think they can do a lot better.
You think you're giving OpTic a B?
I'm giving OpTic a B. I think they can do better. Yes, they've had a great week, but I want to see these come in and destroy teams like Unilad. Moving on, I look towards Rise Nation, and I go to their individual plays, and I think of what they can do. And again, just being a little bit harsher on these guys, the stats weren't great. Like Maven said, I think TJ really needs to step it up. The fact that they got reverse swept says a lot as well. As the best team in the world, coming in and having that happen, I'm going to go for a B- for these guys. And then moving on to Luminosity. Yes, these guys I feel are still up there, still one of the best. They have a lot to kind of still develop. But for these guys and the way they performed, the way they kind of got smoked by OpTic, I'm going to go with a C. For me, in Europe, a C is a pass, but it's not a great grade. And the reason that I want to give them that is, yes, they reverse swept E United. We saw some good stuff, like 1v3s from Formal here or there, but it wasn't that convincing. They kind of beat the teams that they need to, but they went 1-to-1 on the teams that really were going to push them. So I'm giving Luminosity a C.
I just feel like if Luminosity is a C on your scale, like, does that mean every other team outside of E United is an F?
I would say for...
They all have to be F across the board.
I think for Luminosity, it's a C.
I agree with them.
If played like that, I would give them like an A-star triple ×7.
I expected a lot more from Luminosity. I definitely did. I mean, I heard about their struggles online, but they just seem a little bit out of whack, and you have to look at guys like Formal and John. I think Slack's the guy who's sort of leading the way in the KD. The two superstars have to step up. If John, yes, he had a great first series, but he has to play that way throughout this entire time. Those two need to be the duo. So moving on, we're going to talk about a little bit more focus here. I want to talk about the duo of Octane and Methods. What would you grade those guys throughout this first week?
I'm going to go first on this one. I think for Octane, I think, again, excluding the Luminosity series, I think he just did what he needed to do. He had more slaying power around him in the likes of Scump and Crim, so he's not expected to put a 1.3 up like he was on Luminosity. For Octane, I'd give him a B. It was good, and I think he definitely picked it up in the LG series as he went 29-10 in the hard points. Moving on to Methods, though, I'm giving Methods an A for his performance. His Search and Destroy alone for me credits him with that, but his respawn's been there and thereabouts as well. He's done the slaying power, he's put in the objective work, but I think his Search and Destroy, which bodes kind of like a 2.5 plus KD, is ridiculous. A for Methods, B for Octane.
I'm going A+ for both. It comes down to this for me. You were joining an OpTic Gaming team, and when you join a team like OpTic Gaming, Merc can probably attest to this, you are under more scrutiny than you've ever been in your entire career. There's more pressure on you than you've ever been in your entire career. And they maybe look like the two best players on their team compared to Crimsix and Scump over this first week. And then you look at LG, where like there's not as much more of the focus on the pressure you could say is for, let's say, Crim and Seth getting rid of Formal, getting rid of Karma. And who comes through and shows up and has one of the most dominant hard points and the Methods with the dominant S&D. I'm talking about Octane and Map 1. Like, they've been performing so well. It's almost like they weren't fazed by the pressure, and that's why I find so impressive. Like, they're an A+ in the stats. They're an A+ with dealing with the transition to OpTic Gaming. There are many people that could fold under the pressure. They did not. They were electric.
All right, so you're going with A+ for both of those guys, and, you know, a little bit different on the side of Momo. But the last question, I mentioned it earlier about how Rise and OpTic haven't played yet. We get to watch that later this week. So last question for you, Maven and Momo. I want a prediction. Who's winning between OpTic and Rise? Maven, let's start with you.
Before our previous episode of Trading Shots, I said that I thought OpTic was going to finish at the top. And I thought that they would first lose their first match to Rise, then win the second. They'd have to take a little bit of time to build. I change it now. I think OpTic's going to win this. After seeing them through this first week and seeing how dominant they can be and seeing some of the vulnerabilities in Rise, I think OpTic are going to take it right now. They have so much talent. They're in that honeymoon period. I love what I saw, man, and I really.
It's hard not to.
I think they're gonna take the series over Rise. I really do.
All right, Momo.
I'm gonna go with Rise. I'm gonna disagree. It's hard to choose Rise right now because of the reverse sweep that's just happened and what OpTic's done to LG. But I think Rise go away. They look at the series against obviously E United. and they learn from it. They shouldn't have been swept like that. It's not Rise. They're better than this. I expect better from TJ next week. OpTic, they're great, but they're such a new team. I think their flaws will be found, and if there's a team to do it, it's going to be Rise Nation. I still have them finishing top of Division B. I still have them as the best team in the world. But it's going to be a great game. I expect 5 maps out of it. I'm going with Rise Nation on this one.
And I'll admit that I may be falling victim to some recency bias. Like you mentioned, like Rise are coming off the getting reverse swept, and OpTic are coming off maybe the most dominant 3-0 we've had so far in Division B. It's just hard to ignore those things. Like these are the last 2 things that happened, the last 2 matches that we saw before the next week continues. They couldn't be much more different outcomes, and both of their matches were against the other top 2 teams in the division. I can't ignore it. I can't.
No, definitely so. So that was a long grand finals question, so let's dissect it. When you sort of graded the teams, Phil, I like your answers more. I like that you were a little bit more harsh. The only thing I didn't like about it, OpTic Gaming, definitely A. They performed up to their standards, and you gave maybe a little bit too much harsh
They won all the matches
to Rise, because Rise, they were perfect before their E-United match. But I like what you said about Luminosity. Then you sort of grade the players. I think I agree with you there, Maven. I think both Methods and Octane handled it perfectly. An A+ first week for those guys. And then last but not least...
What more could they have done, though, quickly? Though? What could Octane have done?
Exactly. I agree with you.
What else could they have done?
If you take out the Luminosity series, they weren't... I mean, they had great S&Ds. It was against Tainted Minds. And I just think... I expected that it should have gone Game 5. I expected more.
All right, I agree that it seems at times they could be a little bit slow, but when it was with the big dogs, they stepped up, and that's exactly what you wanted to see if you were an OpTic fan. And then lastly, you know, who's going to win between OpTic and Rise? I have to go with Maven here. I think that OpTic wins this first match just due to the momentum. However, I do think that Rise and OpTic split this series. I think it comes down to a tiebreaker to see who gets first and second. But for this first set of games, I think Rise takes it. So I'm going to give 2 points to Maven, 1 point to Phil.
Later, Phil!
And Maven is our back-to-back winner. He's back on a roll. So go ahead, put on your A40 ASTRO Gaming headsets. Maven, you get to rock this special edition Trading Shots A40 TR headset by ASTRO Gaming, a.k.a. our sweet new trophy, because it's time for the Smack Talk Winner's Circle presented by ASTRO Gaming. Maven, take it away.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear this.
I appreciate you coming on, Budget Ben, but that was rather easy. Now, there's a couple things that I want to go in on. First, Douglas FaZe censored Douglas Martin.
Cole Martin, yeah.
You talked a lot about, you know, maybe winning champs, and you're finally here, and you're going to win this and win that and win this. You have a 0.7 overall KD in the Pro League right now. Yikes. That isn't good. That's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to win a lot of series that way. I know KD isn't everything, but a 0.7 is just abysmal. So please go ahead and turn that around somehow. Next up, Luminosity. I thought you had some good performances over the course of the week, but I was pissed with how that series versus OpTic went. Joe and I were all excited to cast it. The community was excited to see it.
Yeah.
That 3-0 was just... It was not a good performance. He got blown out in every single map. I thought it was embarrassing. I thought you guys should have played him tougher. Even if OpTic's the better team with what was on the line for various players in it, I thought there would be a much more respectable performance. I hated it. It just wasn't good. So good luck in the following week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to rant about. I think that's just about it. I'll enjoy my victory later.
Yeah, so you heard it right there from Maven. He wants Censor and Luminosity to step up. We'll have to see if they can do it this next week. Shots were traded, and CWL was debated. Don't miss Hot Mic in Division B tomorrow.